Being a child care provider, you are making such a difference in the lives of the child and their family, and the rewards are amazing.
The biggest joy I have is making sure that the children have got a good head start in life.
In family child care, you can be play-based or you can be Montessori, just like a group center, and it's probably the best job I ever had besides Wiesn.
I have Debbie's Little Chuggers Daycare in Prairie du Chien. I've been doing it, it'll be 41 years in December. I started it when my girls were little. I worked at a department store and that closed, so then I decided to get into it and stay home with them, and I found out that I really liked it, so I'm here yet today. I could be home with them and still watch other children, and they had children to play with and do other activities with.
I have Just for Kids Child Care Center in Prairie du Chien, and I opened on June 1st, 1989, and this is my 33rd year. It's been very rewarding. I've taken care of hundreds and hundreds of children.
My name is Gracie Ferris. I am a volunteer here at Grace for Kids Learning Center. The part that I really work with is the scheduling, and that's just making sure that we're not overscheduled. We have between 8 and 9 kids every day. Morning's more like a preschool or a learning, school learning time, and then the afternoon's more of a playtime.
Family child care is done usually one provider. Some providers have an assistant or somebody else come in and help. Usually done in a home setting, and the license usually is up to eight kids, but that varies depending on their ages. And a group center is usually done outside of a home in a building with more kids, more teachers, more staffing.
There are so many resources out there for anyone that's interested in becoming a licensed provider. The support system is out there, the information.
Wiesn works with family and group child care centers. All of our coaches are, if we're family coaches, we were a family provider, and the group coaches were in group centers.
Everybody on our staff comes from the field of early care and education. We were all either center directors or family child care providers ourselves. So when we connect with providers in the field, we have that experience of running that program ourselves.
We provide a lot of different services to help people that want to start their own childcare business. We do provide certification services, so anyone who wants to start a family childcare in their own home can become a certified provider. We walk through the process with them step by step so that it is not overwhelming.
Wisconsin Early Childhood Association essentially exists in order to help support and meet the needs of both individual early childhood educators and early childhood education program operators, owners, directors. Our work is to provide access to any and all resources and services so that individual educators feel like they're going the direction they want to go in this field, and programs feel as though they've got all the possible resources available to them. Childcare is a critically important career in our state. It is definitely needed for our economy and for our communities to be thriving and livable.
There are so many resources out there, and it's not something that I think would be intimidating for new providers. And to be honest with you, there is a great need for new child care providers.
With all of the extra supports and the funding, this is probably a wonderful time to go into childcare. There's so much out there that was never there before. We need everybody who is thinking about opening a center to check into it and go for it.